Let's welcome back to the show Virginia Lieutenant Governor Winsome Earle-Sears. Great to have you back on, Lieutenant Governor. So you spoke at CPAC about the crisis in U.S. public schools. We should point out the Wall Street Journal is finding public enrollment fell in roughly nearly 9 out of 10 of the nation's biggest 100 public school districts. We're seeing more schools, public schools shutting nationwide, Colorado, Minnesota, and California. You say this is a new Brown versus Board of Education fight. Can you talk to us about that?
Well, that fight was ultimately about parents being able to have their children to attend the schools that they want them to attend. This was always about the parents' responsibility, and they weren't getting that. So what I'm saying is we haven't stopped the fight. We're still fighting redlining, where if you live in a certain zip code, that's the only school that your child can attend. And that's why we're saying this is really not about the rich versus the poor, because the rich are not waiting on a government program to decide where their children should go to school. The fight really is that you have a teachers union and they give the talking points and tons of money to really one side of the political spectrum, the Democrats. And parents, you don't have any organization that you pay dues to. That's why you elected people like me to fight for you so that you can decide how to make sure that your child has a good education. We've just got to vote differently. Otherwise, we'll keep getting the same thing.
You know, we've had parents on who tell us that they have no voice in schools. They have no say in, what teachers are teaching about, gender identification and more, about porn in school libraries, that they have just no voice. And what do you say to that?
Well, again, that's why I'm here. That's why we put forward the education success accounts is what we were calling it. And what we were trying to do is just to take one third of the funds that would normally go to the schools and give it to the child, so that we're not worshiping the brick building anymore, and to say to the parents, do with it as you wish. If it's homeschooling, if it's private schools, parochial schools, whatever. And by the way, this is not an either or option. We can have public schools and private schools funded. They can both exist. But right now, when you have one choice, well, then you're stuck. We've given so much money to public schools, and what's the accountability right now? There is none. And we hear Democrats all the time say, well, we just need to give more and more money. Well, the Democrats were totally in charge here in Virginia. They had the House, they had the Senate, they had the governor's mansion. And you know what they didn't do? They didn't fully fund whatever schools they're talking about. So it's because they couldn't get that through. So let's cut to the chase. Parents, it is time for us to make a different decision when it comes to voting. Otherwise, things will never change.
Well, let's watch these mothers speaking out on Capitol Hill. Let's please get your reaction about them. This is about the new House Parental Bill of Rights. Let's watch this.
My name is Scott Smith. I'm here today as a father and a taxpayer. And like all of you, I want a future where our children are safe at school and not sexualized, politicized, and radicalized. In May 2021, my daughter was sexually assaulted at her school in her female bathroom by a boy wearing a skirt. We now know that 3 young girls were attacked by the same now convicted sexual predator. The school board has failed each of these young girls and their families every step of the way.
My name is Nicole Solis, and I am a mother from Rhode Island who was sued by the teachers union simply because I wanted to know what my kindergartner would be learning in school. Then I asked them if they were teaching gender theory, and they told me that they don't call children boys and girls, and they embed the values of gender identity into every classroom, including kindergarten, and they didn't want to answer any of my questions further.
Your reaction?
Yeah, there is no accountability. That's what I'm saying. Somebody has to care. And normally when you elect people, that's what you expect. You expect them to talk to you about what really matters. Parents, here's the thing. You send your child to school. You want them to learn history. You want them to learn how to read and write and do arithmetic. If that's not happening, then what is the point? Because your child would not have a future, will never have a future if they are illiterate. You know whether your child is learning or not. It is time to make a different choice, and that starts with elections.
Lieutenant Governor Winsome Earle-Sears, thank you so much for spending time with us this Friday night. It's good to have you on.